Hello everyone. I thought it's time to introduce some results of my work under the project and share some ideas, explain what I'm doing, explain the idea of my game and maybe receive some feedbacks. I'd like to start with sharing some information, what inspired me, why I'm doing this. Mm, I wanted to make an RPG game for many years since I was, I don't know, maybe 20 years old. I got my I got my first computer and I'm playing like DOS games and I was very excited and impressed with the XCOM games like XCOM 1, XCOM 2. I was in I was impressed with the detailed system like pseudo 3D and how is the detailed control you have over your troops. Like I very like that system. So I just thought, what if someone or I could make the RPG game, but based on that system. So I started to develop my own system, like just writing formulas, like thinking how everything should be, and so and a bit later, I my knowledge of the programming were growing, and I studied Delphi, so I started to make my games with Delphi. I started to make my game with Delphi. It was like more than 10 years ago, maybe 15. I spent like a couple of years on this. I made quite good progress, but it was still far from the something like really something like you really could play. But there was a working example. But the disadvantage was that Windows, well, it's still popular, but it's only for Windows, and Windows gaming was uh, less and less popular, let's say. The mobile gaming became more popular, so making games for mobile devices was more became more I would say like actual. It became more important, and but I didn't know how to make games for Android. I but I studied JavaScript and I started to make games with JavaScript. There was a big advantage that you could easily share your game. You just need to pass the link and anybody could open it in a browser. But there was still, I would say, two cons. One of them was like kind of big that the this game you could only play when you have internet. You had to open a link in browser when you have internet. That was a disadvantage, and also some things you were lack of, like save progress locally and few things. But it's still an alternative for developing games for Android, because developing games for Android is very complicated. It's the Google always like changing rules. It requires you to maintain new systems and to be on a play market, and also to there are some limitations. Let's say you cannot just compile game once, and also to compile application you need to set many settings. Okay, that's complicated, but finally I just found a way how to create the games for Android with game maker. So and I've studied this game this tool, game maker, and it appeared quite fine, quite easy to for game making from my point of view. So about the game, um, I just created the battle processor at the moment, but the ideas I have much bigger, like to create open world where it's gonna be party RPG with open world with tactical battles. But now only battles are working, which I consider the one of the core one of the core things of the game, very important. The battle itself already is a game, so what can I tell? About the as far as this RPG, it very based on the RPG system, which is the character systems, your hero system, the attributes, how they are, what they mean, how they are working. So I can start with this. Every character has attributes like strength, agility, constitution, dexterity. The one attribute I didn't render, but it exists. It's perception, which means mostly aiming or preciseness. How precise your character when firing. Intelligence and magic. So I'll just explain every of the attribute a bit. The strength is very straightforward. It measures how good you're doing damage, physical damage, and carrying heavy items. So there are two main purposes of strength: how good you're in a melee combat and how much can you carry without any penalty. Without any penalty, it's an important note that you can put as much as you want in your backpack, but you will have penalties, which affect your movement speed. And movement speed is very important. So how the damage is calculated, how the strength is working. Every item has damage, physical damage, that is applied in hand-to-hand combat. Let's switch to another character which has like some item in the hands. Heavy armor. Heavy armor has damage, like the damage has two parts, like more, but physical damage has two parts, like soft and hard. Hard is more like cutting, slicing, and soft is more like blunt damage, dull damage. So the damage is calculated the way that strength multiplied by base damage of the item, and it may be affected also by some skills. That's how the strength working. Also, strength is defines the maximum amount of cargo you can carry without being penalized. So it's quite straightforward. The maximum cargo is your strength. As we see, our maximum cargo is 14, but we are overburdened with one stone, with one unit of cargo. So we will walk a bit slower than we should. So it means that you can like wear heavy armor on any character or give weapon to any character, but if the character has low strength, it will have penalties. The character will have penalties and will walk just slower. So wear heavy armor to magic user. You can do it, but it is not a good idea because slow magic user it it is not good, let's say. He will suffer much more from his slowness than from being vulnerable without an armor at some point. So it's up to you. The next is agility. Agility affects one of the things it affects is hand-to-hand combat. It's attack and defense, and we see here on the screen attack and defense already calculated from the weapon that you have in your hands and your agility. And also the attack and defense may be affected by some skills. So some skills may add bonuses to attack and defense in hand-to-hand combat. The other thing that agility gives you is throwing. So another thing that agility affects is throwing. The more agility, the further you can throw and with more accuracy. And throwing is important not only for warriors but also magic users. There are some spells that require you to throw them, let's say, and in this case agility serves you in a good way. Let's say constitution gives you health points, but not only. And I think I don't remember exactly the formula, but your health points are affected by constitution and strength, both of them, but more by constitution. And constitution not only gives you health points but also helps you to resist damage, especially elemental damage like fire, cold, electricity, and so. So for example, character with high strength and low constitution may have the same amount of health points as the character with low strength and high constitution, but having high constitution over high strength gives you a bit more benefits. And the next is dexterity. Dexterity just measures how fast your character in most of the actions, like in all the actions, let's say all the actions, the time any action takes is affected by the dexterity. Being fast in this game is very important for everybody, because being fast is not only walk fast, it also do everything fast, even casting magic spells. But just a bit going further, the speed of casting also affected by intelligence and magic. What is intelligence and magic? Intelligence is not only for magic, it measures how fast your character learn new skills. So have high intelligence important is not only for magic users, which makes intelligence is quite important, and we are avoiding like strange situation when your warrior may have like zero intelligence. In my game have in like it's you will not you don't want, let's say, create a character with very low intelligence, because your character will learn new skills very slow. But some of the characters maybe need to learn a fewer number of the skills than the other. For example, magic users. Well, for magic users, better to learn a lot of skills, but not always. So it's up to you. It's everything here is up to you. There's no like strict rules. There are only some, let's say, maybe some suggestions, but you can build your character as you want. And magic is raw magic, like natural ability, your aptitude, your character to the magic. It is important for magic users, as you, when you have zero magic, you will not be able to cast any magic at all. But you may have magic user with low magic and high intelligence. Intelligence in this case a bit compensate your magic in two ways. The first, very like a straightforward, is intelligence give you like energy points which you use to cast magic. In this way, intelligence compensate magic. And the second is much more important, maybe, I think, from my point of view, that the higher intelligence gives you opportunity, possibility to study complicated spells. And so there may be two ways how you can develop your magic user, like not strict, but as I see, you can create a character and rise up intelligence, so you will study more complicated spells which requires less energy, or they're just more, maybe more powerful, gives you much more like options in the game. Or you can put your points into a magic attribute which will give you more magic power, more energy, but less, let's say, complicated spells. But it doesn't mean that the character with low intelligence, high magic, may be like only like wild, let's say, wild character with natural magic ability, but with no option to like to know anything. There may, I think I plan to create some skills and some spells for this type of magic users which have not high intelligence but high magic. There will some spells will be accessible for them, which requires high magic power and a lot of energy. So there are this way is just they are different, and there may be third way, I think, when you maintain intelligence and magic on the equal level, and you will have some kind magic user, which you may call like war mage. It's from some point of view, this character may be very efficient in magic. It will he will this character will don't know like maybe some specific spells, but this character may be very efficient in early stage of the game and keep stay efficient at every stage at some point, we would say. So magic is a complicated part of this game also, I would say. I could tell about the spells. There are many spells I plan to create, and the spells are different in their application and action types. Let's say the attacking spells, they have different action types like throwing, aiming, and just releasing. The throwing requires your agility to throw, like fireball. Let's say a lot of things happen on screen. I can describe it a bit later. Let's say we have here fireball, firebolt, and aim at firebolt. Fireball, you have to throw. It requires less time to create. Maybe in future it will require less energy. And also we have to keep in mind that some spells may have the same amount of energy, like require, and same time, but some spells to study may require more skills, so you will have to spend much more experience to study this spell. Some spells will maybe not be accessible for some characters. Even requirements are the same. So with attacking spells, let's say, may be applied in different types, as I said, and also there is a fourth type of spell when you just cast. You don't have to select any target, you just cast them. It also may be attacking spells, but not only, let's say. Some spells may require different types of target, like empty cell, any cell, any character, or only friendly character, or object. Some of the spells may be applied only to the caster, the magic user, and there is a big part of spells, number of spells which affect the attributes, and like haste, which affects dexterity, and there are like weakness, might, the spell that rise up your agility or lowers agility, and this type of spells have two types. One of them, when you cast, it depends how long will last this spell, depends on your magic power, and also the effect will be calculated from the time the spell is last. So your magic power will affect the value, not directly, but through the time the spell will last. It's one type of the spells that cause some buffs, and the other type is just fixed number. You cast a spell and create, which will give a buff to some character, giving like fixed number of which negative or positive affecting the attribute, and will last like fixed amount of time, but the number it gives depends on your magic power. Like for example, we can cast haste and haste instant. The The haste chest will rise up the dexterity of the character by 2. But this number depends on the magic power of the magic user that cast, and this number 2 is calculated from the number of the time units the spell will last. And the interesting part that you can cast multiple times the same spell on the same character, and this number of time units will rise up, will add, it will stack, and the buff, the attribute value will rise with the time units the spell will last. This will not work with the other type of spells, like which are instant. The instant will just give instant bonus, and these are two different. They are two different spells, but they are stacking each other. They are summarizing. So we have 4 of dexterity from one and 2 dexterity from another. So we have 6 more dexterity, and we see here instead of 14 we have 20. We saw like one NPC fired the arrow. In my game, the arrows may miss. They will just fire as in 2D engine. It may hit your allies if you miss. The angle in which you can miss, the angle, deviated angle of your firing, it depends on your precision skill, which I didn't render here, but it exists, and also the skill level of your bow skill, and the quality of arrows and quality of the bow. So as you may noticed, this is the timeline by which you can see which character will have turn after which, and the numbers is when in the time the character is, and another number is how many times you can defend yourself in hand-to-hand combat until the turn will come back to you. So this character can defend himself 1 time, and this number rises with your skills, with the weapon or shield. This number is stacking. If, for example, if you have sword and shield and you have both skills and sword and shield, these bonuses will stack. We will have, for example, 3 defenses each round. What else? The firing, like fireball, also requires a precision, having a precision attribute, but you may have bonuses from some magic skills. I will not be detailed in this now, but this the idea. What else? The casting maybe I told already, the casting speed is affected by intelligence and magic. So if you are slow character but with high intelligence and high magic, you will cast spells quite fast. No, the other thing that just a details, but it may give you the understanding, the deepness of the ideas I try to implement here is the skill, the spells, Astral Bug and Astral Armor. Why I am talking about this? Because the Astral Bug is the bug, the insect that uh, try to reach its target and blow. When it blows, it creates a damage, but not only physical damage, it also has astral damage. Astral damage, what is this? It's not elemental, it's not like fire, cold, or lightning, because you may have in the game astral armor. What astral armor doing? Astral armor resists totally elemental damage, but the astral damage damages the astral armor. As far as astral armor is exists on your character, it will protect you from elemental damage, but astral damage will reduce the time astral armor is on you. So astral bug will just destroy astral armor and also do physical damage. That's maybe everything I wanted to tell, except few things. For example, like graphical nuance. As you see, the game is I created like a isometrical, not isometrical, dimetrical, like not just pure top down, but isometrical kind graphical system. And so some objects may cover the other, and not to give much more, a bit more like a more view over the field. I made this system that when the character is behind the object, this object disappears and only shows where it is with black square. Maybe that's all for now. What I plan to do, I plan to do open world with the open world with procedural generated open world with cities, schools, shops, and so and so. And so the game will not only be in battling, but also exploring the world, completing quests, and things like so. But these are the big plans for the future. Well, I spent maybe 1 month and a half, maybe 2 months on this game maker version for mobile phone. So I think I need few months more, like 6, to finish the the game, but not the project itself, but the game. And then I will need, I don't know how much time for releasing it, but for now it's like this. I need to find the graphics. Some graphics I just bought, but it's not what I want. I plan to hire somebody to draw me graphics. I need to draw a lot of graphics, a lot of PC like objects, special effects, and so on. So maybe I will tell more details about some specific moments, like more about the magic, more about the combat system in the next videos. I just want to, I would like to understand uh, how much people are excited about this project, well people want to play this. So thanks for your attention and see you in the next videos.